All right, ladies and gentlemen, guys, we'd like to welcome you to the Soda You Dig. This is your humble host, DJ Just Jay. And what I want to do is I want to tell you guys about a story about my gentleman here on my right-hand side, and this is some late-breaking news. Now, Mary and Suge Knight pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter on Thursday. Now, Knight reached a plea agreement Thursday in connection with the 2015 hit-and-run death of Terry Carter outside a Compton restaurant after a dispute related to the film Straight Outta Compton. Knight, age 53, could serve up to 28 years in state prison. Dressed in orange jail scrubs, the one-time hip-hop juggernaut stared straight ahead as Judge Ronald S. Cohen detailed a plea agreement Thursday afternoon. He simply replied yes when he asked if he accepted it. Crystal Carter, the youngest daughter of Knight's victim, rushed out of the courtroom wearing sunglasses after the plea deal was struck. A pendant reading, Carter, hung near her heart, said it was a relief to see the court proceedings, which had become a, quote, a complete circus, wind to a close after 3.5 years. But it will never be a win to the family, she said. Can't bring my dad back. Knight's attorney, Albert DeBlanc Jr., first contacted the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office about a possible plea deal Wednesday, according to Lillian Carter, the victim's wife. Negotiations stretched into early Thursday afternoon, with Knight at one point fighting against the idea of having to take the plea deal in the presence of the media lining the courtroom, according to a source familiar with the negotiations. The source requested anonymity to discuss the case candidly. The manslaughter charge carries an 11-year prison sentence, which will be doubled in Knight's case because he has a prior felony conviction, according to a statement released by the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. And an additional 6 years will be added to that sentence because Knight was charged with using a deadly weapon to commit a violent felony, prosecutors said. Knight will be sentenced on October 4th, and prosecutors agreed to dismiss his other pending criminal matters as part of the deal. Knight has been separately accused of threatening Straight Outta Compton director F. Gary Gary and robbing a photographer in Beverly Hills. Now, Knight has been behind bars since January of 2015 when he was arrested and charged with intentionally ramming his Ford F-150 pickup into two men in the driveway of Tam's Burgers at Central and East Rosecrans Avenue in Compton. He originally faced life without the possibility of parole if he was convicted. Now, Carter, a 55-year-old Compton native who knew Knight through the music industry, was killed. Clee Bone Sloan, who was also involved in a physical altercation with Knight's moment before the incident, was severely injured, but he survived. Now, Knight and his legal team have described the victim as a longtime friend and previously said the mogul was heartbroken to learn Carter had been killed. Now, Carter's wife, Lillian, disputed that in a recent interview with Los Angeles Times, saying that her husband only knew Knight through business dealings and that the two had not been close in several years. A Compton native, Carter grew up on Piru Street, the block from which the notorious sect of the Blood Street Gang takes its name, but he is well known for helping young men avoid gang life, according to his family. An entrepreneur with a penchant for building custom lowriders, he also worked as a car salesman and music producer, and he owned several automobile businesses and limousine services, his wife said. Now, Carter also founded Heavyweight Records alongside rapper and actor Ice Cube. He first met Knight in the early 1990s after the mogul and rapper Dr. Dre asked him to build a custom car for a giveaway as part of a promotion for Dr. Dre's solo debut album, The Chronic, according to his wife. Now, the hit-and-run crash followed an argument on the set of a commercial for Straight Outta Compton, which chronicled the rise of the seminal hip-hop group NWA. Authorities say Knight, who was depicted in the movie, was upset about not receiving financial compensation for the use of his likeness. Now, footage from the Burger Joint security camera shows Knight's truck barreling into Carter and Sloan. Now, Knight, who fled the scene but eventually turned himself in, originally pleaded not guilty, arguing that he acted in self-defense. Dẹāth's legal team had long claimed that the men were there with guns and attempting to injure or kill Knight, but prosecutors have contended there is no evidence to support that. Now, Knight's case has evolved into a bizarre and winding legal saga long before Thursday's plea deal argument. In the 3 years since his arrest, Knight has tried to bolster his self-defense, arguing by claiming a hitman hired by Dr. Dre was present at Tams on the day of Carter's death. Knight has cycled through more than a dozen attorneys on the murder case, seemingly firing lawyers indiscriminately. As recently as Wednesday, he pleaded with Cohen to fire his court-appointed defense attorney. Knight's reputation for intimidating also loomed large over the proceedings. So during the preliminary hearing in 2015, Sloan broke down in tears and on the stand and refused to cooperate with prosecutors despite suffering serious injuries when Knight smashed into him with his truck. "I'm no snitch," he said at the time. "I will not be used to send Suge Knight to prison." Gary also refused to cooperate with prosecutors in a hearing related to the criminal threats case against Knight, according to a transcript reviewed by The Times. Investigators with the LA County Sheriff's Department have produced text messages detailing the threats, and Gray himself called the LAPD after the 2014 incident, records show. Prosecutors also accused Knight of conspiring with his fiancée and some of his prior attorneys to manipulate the case. Now, 2 members of Knight's legal team, Matthew Fletcher and Thaddeus Culpepper, were arrested on charges of witness tampering this year. Knight's fiancée, Toy Lynn Kelly, is serving 3 years in prison for helping Knight violate a court order that barred him from communicating with anyone other than his attorneys. She was also accused of helping him arrange the sale of a video of the killing to gossip website TMZ, according to court records. Knight, who was oddly jovial in the courtroom over the years, bantering with Cohen and delivering one-liners, Knight kept it up on Thursday as Cohen read aloud boilerplate plea deal language explaining that if the defendant is not a citizen, a conviction can lead to deportation. "So ICE is coming to get me," said Suge Knight, laughing. Born Marion Hugh Knight Jr., the Compton native was long considered an intimidating force in the city and the hip-hop scene. He excelled early on the football field, playing defensive end in college before earning a short stint with the Los Angeles Rams as a replacement player during the 1987 strike. When his football career fizzled, Knight, who was 6'4" and 300 and some odd pounds, worked as a bodyguard for celebrities including Bobby Brown and began spending more time in music circles. So in the 1990s, Knight and Dr. Dre formed Death Row Records. As the label exploded into a $100 million a year enterprise, Knight built an infamous reputation. One newspaper compared him to John Gotti, the notorious New York City mob boss. During a newspaper interview, Knight, then age 29, told a New York Times reporter, "If I wanted to, I could really scare the hell out of you." The reputation proved more than mere bluster, as Knight often found himself in law enforcement's crosshairs. In 1992, he was charged with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, court records show. In a search warrant affidavit filed at the time, authorities alleged that Knight ordered 2 aspiring rappers to their knees in a Hollywood studio, fired a shot near them, and pistol whipped one of the men. The case spiraled into public relations disaster for police. Knight, it turned out, had signed a record deal with the teenage daughter of former Los Angeles County Deputy District Attorney Lawrence M. Longo, the prosecutor overseeing his probation in the assault case. Knight also lived in an oceanfront Malibu home owned by Longo's family. 4 years after the assault, Knight was at the wheel of a BMW just off the Las Vegas Strip when his passenger, rapper Tupac Shakur, was fatally shot by an unknown gunman. A couple of months later, rapper Vanilla Ice publicly accused Knight of taking him to the 15th floor hotel balcony and threatening him to sign over song royalties. In 1997, a judge sentenced Knight to 9 years in prison for violating his probation in the assault case by getting in a fight in Las Vegas. Soon after his release, Knight returned to custody when State Patrol officers determined he'd violated the terms of his release by punching a parking lot attendant at a Hollywood club. Knight's penchant for being linked to violent acts went both ways, and in 2014, less than a year before Carter's death, he was shot in a West Hollywood nightclub during a party hosted by R&B performer Chris Brown. Thursday's plea may have marked the end of a lengthy, confusing court battle for both Knight and the prosecution, but it brought no closure to Lillian Carter. "I thought I would feel some relief, but I don't," she said. I feel just as sick and heartbroken as I did the moment of learning of Terry's death." So here's the timeline of Suge Knight's legal troubles. In 1992, he was charged with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, which is what court records show, which we spoke about that a little bit earlier. In 1996, he was sent to prison for nearly 5 years after badly beating a rival at the Las Vegas hotel at the time of the incident. Knight was accompanied by rapper Tupac Shakur. In 2002, he was jailed for violating his probation by associating with Los Angeles gang members. In 2003, he violated parole by punching a Hollywood nightclub parking lot attendant. In 2005, he was shot in Miami during an MTV Video Music Awards pre-party. In 2009, he was hospitalized after a fight at a hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona. In 2014, he was shot during an altercation at a Hollywood nightclub. And of course, in 2015, arrested on suspicion of killing a man with his truck at a Compton hamburger joint, which he is now going to plead to that case. In the late 1980s, a career in the NFL didn't pan out, and he put his build to use as a bodyguard for celebrities. He eventually began promoting concerts and soon launched a music publishing business, gaining notoriety by muscling Vanilla Ice over the rights to his smash hit, Ice Ice Baby. In the early 1990s, Knight formed an artist management company and signed prominent West Coast rappers DJ Quick and Tracy, the DOC, Lynn Curry, who introduced Knight to several members of the gangster rap group NWA. In 1991, Death Row Records was founded by Knight and Curry, Richard Griffey, and Dr. Dre. Knight negotiated Dre, a former NWA member, out of his deal with Eazy-E's Ruthless Records. Legend has it is that Knight and his henchmen used lengths of pipe and baseball bats as intimidation. In 1992, Death Row almost found instant success. Dr. Dre's debut album in 1992, The Chronic, becomes the blueprint for West Coast gangster rap. Dr. Dre's production style, which also incorporated slow hypnotic grooves and soulful vocals, continues to influence hip-hop and pop records today. In 1993, Snoop Dogg's equally influential debut album Doggy Style arrived, boasting Dre's production. In 1995, Knight signed Tupac Shakur to Death Row Records after posting a more than $1 million bond for the then incarcerated rapper. In 1996, Shakur was shot and killed in Las Vegas as he rode in the car driven by Suge Knight. Industry rumors placed the blame on tension between New York's Bad Boy Records and Suge Knight. In 1997, while in Las Vegas for the Soul Train Awards, Bad Boy artist Notorious B.I.G. was gunned down after leaving a party. Both slayings remain unsolved to this day. In 1997, Suge Knight was sentenced to 9 years in prison for violating terms of his probation from an assault case, and his control of Death Row diminished. Most of the acts left. In 2001, Knight was released from prison after serving less than 5 years, but was never able to recover the label to its former prominence, and his own legal troubles mounted. In 2009, Death Row was auctioned for a reported $18 million. In 2015, he was arrested in killing a man in Compton, which that was the story that we just told you guys about. And in 2018, as of yesterday, he pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter. So I wanted to kind of give you guys an update as to what's actually going on. This is a really quick story, but I want to kind of let you guys know what's going on with this story. So you guys heard it here. This is your boy DJ Just Jay signing off. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to the show. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And thank you guys for joining the So Do You Dig. We'll see you soon. Peace.